I'm Nathaniel Oxford, and I teach instrumental music in Seattle Public Schools at 6 elementary schools and at a middle school as well. I'm here with Richard Wilson and Kristine Rominski, who are both professional musicians, and they work with an organization called Michael J. Owen Music Education Fund that provides professional musicians such as them in the public schools to work with students. And they've also produced a video series this year that we use in the classrooms, and it's really cool. Anyway, we're here on a non-student day having a little meeting, a gathering, and we wanted to just talk about why we do what we do, and maybe get some of those of you who are watching this thinking about why do you do what you do, so that you can remember that novelty and that joy that comes, the first day that you ever touched your instrument. Remember that every time you get your instrument out. So I'm just going to start here and tell a little bit about myself, and then ask some questions of Richard and Kristine. I play a lot of the instruments in class to different degrees of proficiency, and my main instrument is the trombone. And I started the trombone when I was in 5th grade, and I had always wanted to play it when I was a kid. I don't know why. I don't know if I'd seen it in a cartoon or if I saw somebody playing it at the Seattle Center, but I remember it looked like a fun instrument that you could make some cool noises and move the slide back and forth on, and it just looked fun. So that's my instrument story. So Richard, why did you choose? What do you play, and why did you choose the first instrument that you chose?
My first instrument was a C melody saxophone, a really old instrument. It was my grandfather's, and so he gave it to me. I liked the way it looked because the shape that it has, the bell on it, and it was really loud. So I had fun playing it because it was as loud as it was. So I was asked to go outside a lot as a child to go play my instrument outdoors. But I really loved that instrument, and I started, and I have been having fun with music for 50 years plus. So when I got started, I never took a break. I just kept playing and playing and playing, have toured like a lot of other professional musicians. It's just been a lot of fun. If it wasn't fun, I wouldn't have done it. But then I was given a flute. By the time I was 11 years old, I thought, wow, that is really cool. Look at all those little buttons on it and stuff. So I had it was nice. It's just a beautiful instrument, a beautiful work of art. And this is my main instrument. I love the flute more than anything else, but I do play flute, clarinet, alto saxophone, and guitar. It's just been fun, and I never stopped. I can't. I really enjoy teaching you kids too, because to see the smiles on your faces, it just makes me feel good. So I'm going to keep doing it because it makes me feel good. That's my music story.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool. I'm curious though. Did you ever have neighbors who complained when you were outside playing saxophone?
Absolutely.
That's a perfect answer. That's a perfect answer.
my mother sent me outside because it was too loud for inside, and some of my friends and neighbors complained because they didn't like my playing, but I kept playing anyways.
Nice. Just keep doing it.
Yeah, just
Kristine,
keep doing it.
Same question to you. Why is flute your first instrument, and why did you choose it?
Yeah, flute is my first and kind of only instrument, even though I do play clarinet a little bit, but flute is my first instrument. And I started playing in the 5th grade because my grandma said she played the flute when she was younger and she wished she never quit. And my grandma is my favorite person, and so I chose the flute. And she had also been taking me to orchestra concerts every other month since I was like 3 years old. And I always thought the flute was the prettiest and shiniest instrument in the orchestra. And so I wanted to do I wanted to choose that, and I wanted to do that. So when it came to choosing an instrument for band, that's what I chose. I did not have the option to choose a string instrument because my school was only about 400 people, and so we didn't have an orchestra program. So that was never an option for me. So I'm really glad that being in the Seattle public schools, kids have an option to choose between band instruments and orchestra instruments. That's really cool for me to see.
Wow. Yeah, that's true. One thing you mentioned there too, and this is something I've heard a lot over the years, is that your grandma said that she wished she had never quit. I've heard that from a lot of adults, that they played an instrument and that they wish they hadn't quit. And I think for a lot of us, sometimes we have other things that get in the way of our schedule. We have to make choices and we have to put something on a back burner. But playing an instrument is something that if you do it and you just don't quit doing it, you always get better at it. And it's something you can do forever. I know a lot of people who are, very old, who can't do, sports anymore, or who are retired, but they still play their instruments. Or even if there's some parents or grandparents that might be watching this video right now, they're not too old to take up an instrument at this point either. I've had adult beginners as students in the past. Kristine, in all the years you've been playing, have you ever had something that was really frustrating, or have you ever taken time off or had a challenge? I know this is nobody would possibly say no to this, but can you think of something that's been an obstacle to your playing in the past that you overcame or worked through?
Absolutely. I remember when I started the flute, I hated it. I hated it so much. I thought I would love it because I loved the sound of it, but I couldn't get a sound out of it. So I remember sitting on my front porch steps, just holding the head joint and going over and over again, and just getting so mad that I couldn't blow. I couldn't make a sound. But then I got the hang of it, of course, and I just never put it down. But it was about 3 days of just me hating it and wondering why did I choose this? This is so dumb. I can't believe this is happening to me. Yeah, it was frustrating.
I think for people who know you, students who know you, or maybe even me, like, it's weird to hear you having any kind of a challenge getting started on the flute. But I think that's probably a common experience for students. Is the first time they get on their instrument, they're super excited and they think, oh, this is going to be great and we're going to play a lot of music, and then they get on it and can barely make a rough noise on it, and it takes work, and you just got to stick with it. So I think that's a really good illustration. Richard, how about you? Same question.
Well, at one time, I've never put it down. I was working on my visual arts for a few years, but whenever I would step back to look at something and analyze it, I would pick up a guitar or I would pick up my flute and play and look at the piece of art that I was working on. So for me, all the arts just work hand in hand with one another. If it wasn't for music, can you imagine dancers dancing on the stage without music? Or even any percussion toys, drums, what have you. So no, I never put it down, and it's just been so much fun for me. I don't know what I'd do if I didn't have music in my life. So it's been a staple for me, and family and friends, and it's fun to perform too.
Yeah, that's great. I wonder, Richard, before we started the recording, you were talking about, I had asked if you would both have an inspirational piece of music or something that inspired you on your instrument, and you shared about the Space Flute Duet. And when I went to YouTube to look this up, I saw lots and lots of videos about this. I don't know if the video recording here is going to pick this up or not, but I'm going to maybe screen share and go over to YouTube, and you can you can maybe direct me on,
Oh, there
is
you
there
go.
one of these that's
Right at the very top. The very
right
top.
at the very top? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, cool. I see there's lots of examples of this, and it looks like this is actually somebody who's literally playing flute in outer space.
Tonight,
and it looks like everybody's gonna want to get Uber Eats because that's the
I think you better double
ad
them
here.
tax. No, this me was last year. I didn't get my madness last year, so we're doing
Okay,
double
video
the
play
madness
after
this
ad.
year.
That's hilarious. Okay, there we go. Everybody's gonna order food this weekend. And the little YouTube thing. So let's pop that open. Oh my goodness.
Tonight, Ian Anderson and I would like to honor Yuri Gagarin for his brave journey 50 years ago. And we would like to celebrate the role that humans play in the exploration of our universe, past, present, and future, by sharing some music between Earth and space.
All right, we'll pause that right there. That's really incredible. I hadn't heard about this.
Oh, I was just looking for Bore on YouTube by Bach, and I stumbled across that. I thought, oh boy, they're gonna like this.
Yeah, sometimes accidents, inspire us to new things that are pretty incredible.
Absolutely.
Kristine, what do you find inspirational?
So I'm unusual in that I only listen to classical music from the time I was like 3 to 23, 24 maybe, which is kind of goofy, but I loved it. And so the first flutist that I ever heard and was just astounded by was, of course, James Galway, the most famous flutist from, 80s, 90s, early 2000s. And so I bought all of his
I've seen the infomercials.
Yeah, I bought all of his CDs and I would listen to all of them on repeat, like all the time. And I just,
wow,
that was so inspirational. And I wanted to sound like him. And that's what I tried to do until I knew better. But now I sound like myself.
Yes. Yay.
That's cool. So if you're watching this and you want to hear more flute, James Galway. Yeah, and there's going to be lots of stuff on YouTube for sure.
Lots and lots. And one time I got to play for him when I was 16, but unfortunately he wasn't very nice at that time. I could have practiced more, but that was cool.
Yeah, that's always the case, right?
Yeah.
Great. I was thinking about what would be inspirational musically for me, and the thing I thought of was I bought my first CD. If you don't know if you're too young to know what a compact disc is, they're a silver disc that you play music on, and probably a lot of kids do know what they are, but there's probably a few who don't. When we were going from records to tapes to CDs, I didn't have a CD player, but I found a recording by a trombonist that I was a big fan of, and somebody had made me a mixtape actually with a trombonist, and this was one of the trombonists on it, Hampton, and I found his World of Trombones recording on CD. So I picked up the CD, and I actually didn't get to listen to it for a few years. but it was pretty amazing to me as a kid because there were like 10 trombones on this one recording, and I heard bass trombone get the melody on a piece of music playing all the low notes, and I loved it. And so maybe at the end I'll play some of the YouTube recording of that one on here. But as far as any words of wisdom, do we have any words of wisdom for kids who might have made it all the way to the end of this video?
Boy,
Richard?
To be a great improviser, I love classical music. That was my first love. My second was improvised jazz music. And to become a great improviser, you need to practice your scales up and down, arpeggiate them, major, minor, modal. It's really cool, all the different sounds you can get. You just have to focus on those scales. Plus, by doing that, it makes it easier to sight read music. And you have to make it so, especially if you're playing wind instruments, just do it like it's as natural as breathing. Relax, have fun.
So in summary, if you don't know what to practice playing scales.
Or just play long tones.
Or play.
Just play.
Just play. But yeah, I've heard a number of people who are musical heroes of mine who that's their answer as far as what to do is practice scales. Yeah. Kristine, any other words of wisdom?
Yeah, I would say even if something's hard, you have to keep trying, because when you look back at where you started and where you are now, you'll remember thinking that the thing that you started with, wasn't that so hard when you first tried it? And now look at where you are. So you just have to remember that there's always a beginning, and the beginning is always hard. But if you keep going, it doesn't always get easier, but it gets more doable. But you have to persist if you want to do something.
Yes.
I will not add anything beyond that. Let's just leave it with that, and call it a good meeting. I've enjoyed seeing you both, and if you're watching this, rewind it and listen to what Kristine said again. That's really that's golden. And thank you both for coming. I'm going to go ahead and screen share and play a little bit of my recording as we exit out of here. Not mine, Slide Hampton's recording. Oh boy, and there's the space flutes, which is pretty cool. There it is.
Yeah,
there's the cover of the CD.